Thank you.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Andertons TV. And today I'm joined by the lovely Simon McBride, all the way from sunny Ireland, with his rather beautiful PRS guitar.
It's rather dirty at the minute, but that's
Is
okay.
It,
yeah.
is it dirty?
Yeah.
On a tone trip, just having a look round?
Yeah, just having a look around. I'm in the middle of a few shows in the UK. We did a couple of festivals the last couple of nights, and then we're where are we going? We're in Carlisle, I think, on Wednesday, Edinburgh Thursday, and then Saturday in Selby. So yeah, just been touring about. I've just been busy. It was Dallas last week with PRS, so but I get around. So yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. Well, tell us, for those that aren't familiar with you, I mean, I know is it like a solo guitar player, blues rock guitar player. I know you've done some, you know, guitar clinic work and stuff like that. But for those that aren't so familiar, well, tell us a little bit about.
About me? Okay.
Yes, about you.
It's my favourite subject.
Yeah,
I love talking about me. Well, basically, I started off when I was a kid, when I was like 9 or 10. And I was, I don't know, I was one of these kind of very fast learners. You know, by the age of 11, I was playing Van Halen's Eruption and on television, and there is evidence of that, unfortunately, somewhere. So don't go looking for it. So yeah, and I was, you know, I won UK Guitarist of the Year when I was 15. Then I started playing with a band called Sweet Savage. They're like a hard rock band from Belfast. You know, the previous guitar player was Vivian Campbell from Def Leppard.
Yeah, small shoes to fill at 15.
Yeah, I just love it. Yeah. So, yeah, I did a couple of albums with those guys, and then I went completely left field. I went to a guy called Andrew Strong. Do you remember that movie, The Commitments? Mm. He was the singer in the movie, you know, so big guy, but not so big anymore. But yeah, so I did that for 8 years, and that was like a complete. You know,
as in the Commitments road, like touring band, you mean?
Well, not actually. It was actually him, because after that movie, he made. He was like the superstar. Yeah. You know, so he went out. He was signed to like Sony or some massive label, and he did a few big records. So he was touring the world, you know, as Andrew Strong. So and it just so happened I knew his drummer, and through that he asked me if I come play it, and it was just very bizarre situation, because I had went from, you know, being 15, 16 playing all this heavy hard rock stuff to, you know, where the guitar was the focus of everything, where I had to play stuff like, you know, I'd Rather Go Blind and, you know, Mustang Sally, and, you know, which is, you know, it's 2 chords.
It's a great song until you've heard a wedding band murder it 5,000 times, and then you just go, oh.
I know. Well, I actually played a wedding a long time ago, and a guy actually died in the middle of Mustang Sally. I was like, yeah, okay, right. But
as
anyway,
a direct result of,
you know,
although hard to handle. That in fairness, I think the Commitments, that was a killer song. Am I going completely mad here? They used to do Hard to Handle, wasn't they? In the
yeah, they used to do all that kind of soul stuff.
Great
you know,
tune.
All the Wilson Pickett stuff. You know, Hard to Handle, Dark End of the Street, Grits and Groceries, all that kind of stuff. So I did that, and then after about 8, 9 years playing it, I'd had enough, and I decided I wanted to, you know, just take a break. Yeah. You know, so I messed around with a few different bands, and then I eventually just said, I just want to do my own thing. Yeah. So I started just writing some, you know, kind of bluesy rock stuff, and then I sent it off to a few labels and stuff, and then Eugene Records, they got back to me. They're a small label from the UK, and they, you know, so they put out my albums for the last kind of 2 or 3, 4 years now, really. So I think I've about 4 albums for those guys. So, but yeah, and then from doing that, I play with, you know, obviously PRS guitars. Yeah. And then through that, I was doing stuff with Don Airy. You know, he's a keyboard player with pretty much every massive, you know, celebrity that there was, you know, in the rock world. You know, Gary Moore, Rainbow, plays with Deep Purple at the minute. So I do a lot of stuff with Don. We just did a new album, which is actually out on the 25th of May. And then, what else have I done? Well, I play with Ian Gillan as well, the singer. You know, he's not very well known, but you know. No, so I did that. I did a tour with Ian was 2016, which was very cool because it was like a big orchestra tour. You know, it was basically, you know, the members of Don Airey's band. So there was myself, Lawrence Cottle on bass, John Finnegan, and obviously Don, and then Ian sang. But it was like an 80 piece orchestra every night.
Wow.
Which was incredible. You know, I've never played with an orchestra. When you're on playing all that Deep Purple stuff, and it's like,
how does any touring band make a profit out of having an 80 piece orchestra?
well, I don't really know. The thing about it is really, in Europe, you know, the orchestras are so cheap.
Right.
So, because
it's what it is. Get yourself an Eastern Europe Polish orchestra. Damn it, it's super cheap and really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it. Yeah. No, because we used a different orchestra every night. You know, different. It was like when we were in Russia, we used obviously the Russian one, the Polish one. So it was a different orchestra every night. We had the conductor Stephen Bentley Klein. You know, so he wrote all the charts and had them all sorted. So, but that was an experience. That was incredible. You know, so apart from that, what else have I done? I just do my own thing most of the time as well. So. I have a new record which will be out next year, I think. I don't know. I've said that for 4 years, but I've been in transition with record companies because I've just signed to a label called Ear Music. Mm-hmm. And they look after Deep Purple, Chicken Foot. It sounds like a name dropping, but it's
some good labels, some good names rather.
That's it. Yeah. So, and now I'm here doing this.
But tell us about them when you obviously made a decision relatively early on that guitar was going to be your thing. Certainly by the sounds of things, before you left school, you'd obviously already set yourself, right, that's it, that's the path I'm going down. Can you remember, I mean, who was it at the time, well, not even who was it, what was it that just, gave you that impetus to sort of go, this is the path I want to go on? Well,
how I started was, my dad had bought a guitar for himself, and he never really played it. It lay around the house. So when he was at work, I used to sneak out and grab the guitar. And, it was like sounded like horrendous noise, but there was a little chord book and I think the first thing I ever learned was green sleeves or something like that. So, and I just kept practicing, and then my dad caught me one day playing his guitar. So, but he seen that I actually could play a few chords, and so he encouraged me a lot to play a few things. But I remember there was like this crossroads of music. I had two choices. One Christmas, it was the time when CDs were still relevant.
Yeah.
And it was the choice of Joe Satriani or Yngwie Malmsteen's CD, and I chose the Joe Satriani one. Thank God. Not that there's anything wrong with Yngwie Malmsteen. He's a great player, but I was more into that kind of vibe and stuff. But before that, I was listening to like AC/DC, and I actually loved Michael Jackson of all people. But yeah, so when I was about 13, I started learning. I'd learnt all the Satriani songs, every album, back to back. Then I got into Steve Vai, and so I kind of grew up in that whole 80s, 90s of rock guitar players, Paul Gilbert, but in regards to my favorite players, really, over my whole span of learning is probably the guys like Gary Moore and Steve Lukather is one of them as well. He's just, every time I hear that guy, I was just going, oh, stuff this, I've seen him in many scenarios, and every time he just blows me away, and as I said, Gary Moore, he's obviously from, Northern Ireland as well, so it was, he was a great influence to me, most of my playing, really, so, but, yeah.
And is the blues rock influence, is that just because that's the kind of music you like to listen to yourself, or, because, I mean, obviously you mentioned artists like Steve Vai and Steve Lukather and stuff like that, and even Satch to a lesser degree, who's got maybe more of a fundamental sort of bluesy rock roots to his chops, but a lot of those guys you wouldn't really put in that sort of bluesy rock Gary Moore kind of category, would you? They're a little bit more...
No, well,
fusiony, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is with me, I have this tag around me which people class me as a blues rock guitar player. And basically, you know, from my influences, I don't really play blues. I'm like in my set, if you go see my band, it's more rock than anything.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I've always kind of been into the kind of more rock side of it than, you know, guys like Satriani, you know, as you say, they're more bluesy based, you know, but if you look at Steve Vai and all those guys, you know, who their influences were, they, you know, they didn't have hard rock guitars to be influenced by, so they're learning of various different people, and that's what made them different, and I always take that attitude till this day. I try to listen to many, you know, different artists, you know, whether it's, you know, like I listen to a lot of fusion players like Oz Noy and stuff like that, and you know, the thing is with today, and you know, the joy of, you know, YouTube is you can watch anybody or discover anybody new, you know, in about 30 seconds of a search, which is really incredible. So, because I just believe, you know, you can't really just stick to one, you know, influence, or, you know, because you end up starting to sound a little bit like them, you know. Whereas I feel if you want to really be your own, have your own identity in a way, you kind of just need to, you know, learn from all different influences and stuff, and, you know, just take it and mold it to be something.
How do you do that then from a Chops perspective? How do you personally stop yourself from sort of going down a, you know, maybe like a comfort cul-de-sac of licks and you know, try and stop yourself being pigeonholed as like, you know, a guy that just does the blues rock thing?
Well, you know, for me as a guitarist, I've been in the same situation as I'm sure most guitarists have been. You know, they get stuck in a rut. And I was like that for a while. You know, I was rock stuff, and that was it. And I just got bored playing the same stuff every day. So I was like, okay, I need to try and do something different here. There's no easy way of, you know, getting out of it, really. You just have to try and, you know, listen to whatever, anything different. You know, when I'm at home, I don't listen to guitarists at all, you know, because you know, most of my life is spent around the guitar and, you know, being in that scene. So when I'm home, I would listen to whatever, classical music, anything, you know. It's because it all takes your mind away somewhere else, and, you know, you maybe hear something on, say, like it's a movie soundtrack or something, you know, by, like, I don't know, Hans Zimmer or something. Something maybe in that, maybe it's a drum thing or a percussion thing, and maybe it gives you a little bit of inspiration to, you know, and you don't realize it happens. It just, you know, you maybe 3-4 weeks later you're playing something, you're going, it's kind of cool. No, I wouldn't have played that before, but it's obviously all these little other influences coming in. So, you know, it is difficult, because there is, when you're younger, I find, you know, you're a little bit more narrow-minded, and it's like, I play rock stuff. It's cool to play rock stuff. I'm not playing anything else. Yeah. That's it. Whereas when you get older, it's like, well, you know, like, for example, when grunge first came along, I hated it. I hated Nirvana, I hated Soundgarden, and I hated, you know, Nine Inch Nails, all that stuff, because I was, you know, Steve Vai, and I'd listened to Motley Crue and all that kind of 80s, 90s rock stuff. But now, I absolutely love Soundgarden and all that stuff, and I'm going, what was wrong with you, you know? But it's just the narrow-minded, you know, teenager being like that. So now I feel my playing is grown a lot, and, you know, basically, you know, whether it's I listen to the country stuff, I listen to fusion stuff, jazz stuff, just everything, and just take little bits and pieces. You know, I still have the way I play. You know, I think everybody will always have that certain way of playing. Like for me, it's kind of rock, bluesy, but sometimes I throw in a little influence of maybe fusion or country or whatnot and stuff. So, but
do you have like a practice routine that helps you get out of that? You know, so you're going to go, right, I'm going to do some practice now, but I'm absolutely going to focus on playing licks that have a more country influence or a more, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, there's so many things you can do. For example, like there's certain things I would do. Like if somebody said, you know, how do you get stuck out? How do you get out of a rut? Well, basically, I go, okay, well, you take any lick that you already know, okay? Whether it's, you know, say it's like a... I go, okay, change the last note. Keep changing it. Right? And then change the first note if you want, and you go... And so all of a sudden you've got... You know, little changes like that.
Yeah.
Automatically just go, okay. And, you know, if you keep changing each note of that lick, you have a completely different lick at the end of it. You know, the rhythm may be slightly, maybe the same, but there's things like that you can do. And, you know, if you even want to play, you know, play outside the typical pentatonic box, you can, you know, you can throw in stuff. For example, if you want to play like harmonic minor, you can throw in. Oh, you know, or even go to like, you know, throw a... It's just using, you know, theory and you know, things like that just to help you get out of the pentatonic, which is where a lot of people get stuck in, you know, that typical, you know, that typical E position of the pentatonic box. But another thing I used to do years ago was I used to go, okay, I'm not going to play in a box. I'm going to consider this as the box, the whole fretboard. So when I kind of think, you know, most of the time when I play, it's like... So I kind of think of the whole thing as like, it's one big box, and I, you know, so I used to play on 2 strings at once for like hours, just trying to make music out of it. Because the other thing is, a lot of people forget about all the basic techniques that we learn, like sliding, bending, or anything like that. And when you're restricted to playing on 1 or 2 strings, you have to use it, or it gets very boring very quickly. So, as I said, there's lots of little things you can do, you know. It's just basically about hitting the reset button, you know, and just come back to the drawing board and just trying something new and different, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's super cool stuff, especially as there's another series of videos going alongside this called Rut Buster that we're doing with a guy called Justin Sandico.
I know Justin.
Yeah, so, and it, you know, I think very much aimed at guitar players like me, who've just basically you get a small window of practice opportunity. It's so, what you really want to do is balance what you want to practice, but you equally don't want to sound like a 5-year-old trying to play the guitar for the first time again. So it's really easy to just go, even though I set out with the mindset at the beginning of I will practice something new, subconsciously within like 2.5 minutes, I'm basically just playing all the same old rubbish that I've been playing for the last 20 years. So it's interesting. I will definitely try that kind of, you know, try and start and end the same lick on a different note. I thought that resonated. That was a cool kind of... Yeah, no,
as I said, that works miracles, you know. And I say you just keep changing that one note within. So you know, obviously change the first, last note, change the second note, just third note. But as I said, by the end of it, you've got something completely different, you know. And the other good thing is take any kind of basic lick that you have and just move it around all different boxes. Play the same lick in 5 different positions, you know. Because you end up playing stuff you wouldn't normally play after it because you're in a different position and you're not used to it. So it's just lots of things you can do.
I'm going to come around to talking about gear, but I'm going to kind of come at it from maybe a slightly different angle, which is, are you sort of tonally inspired? In other words, if you get great tone, do you find it easier to sort of become inspired and play new stuff? Or, I mean, there was a guy we interviewed last year called Eric Gales, amazing guitar player, but he was almost just like, he'd kind of was like, you know what, if I'm being paid to do a gig and someone plugs me into a shoebox, I've still got to make the shoebox sound great. So he was almost like not really bothered about whether his tone was really good or not. He just had to, you know, make a sound. But I'd wonder, because certainly from my own perspective, it's like, I know that if I don't really think I sound that great, I'm sort of, I'm staying well within my comfort zone and not doing anything. And if I think I sound really good, I'm perhaps more open-minded to trying something a bit new. But
Okay.
where are you at with that sort of?
Well, I get the whole thing about, you know, what Eric's talking about. You know, if you're being paid to do a gig and you turn up and it's a little, you know, and it, as he said, shoebox, you have to just rise above that and just make it sound good. It is difficult. You don't play at your full 100%, I find, when you do that. Whereas you have, you know, it's like, if the tone is right, you're going to be inspired. You're going to play 10 times better. You know, for me, I always try my best to get, you know, the best tone I can, because I know I'll play a lot better. Sometimes I find when I play through an amp and it's like, I'm not getting any response from it, or that natural feel from it. I struggle because I start to overplay, not, you know, with lots of fast notes or anything. I just start trying to pull something out of the amp with my fingers, and it start getting hands getting stiff and things like that. Whereas if you have an amp which just giving you that nice feedback and response, it's just like, you know, you can play with ease, and you can do your thing. But sometimes it's just not like that. You just have to make the shoebox work and get on with it. That's it, you know. So it's a bit like playing various venues and stuff. You know, if you plug into your rig and you're in a venue, it sounds horrible. You kind of lose that response and everything, you know, or things bouncing off the wall or the ceiling. You know, it just starts to sound a bit messy, and you know, you can't really, as I said, play the same. So there's so many different things you know that have an influence on how you play. You know, gears, for me, gears is a big thing. But lucky enough, over the years, I've developed an attitude where I can just go, okay, I just need to make this work. And I think that comes down to pretty much, especially in my own band, or say if it's like playing with Don Airy, I rehearse everything. So if it's a solo, I know what I'm doing. You know, 90% of solos I do, they're all rehearsed. I know what I'm playing. Simply for the reason of, you know, for the situation, I have a dodgy sound, I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to improvise that well because I'll be struggling. Or if I'm tired, you know, from touring, and you know, I don't feel up to it, I can still go on that stage, play exactly note after note, and it's, you know, the audience, because at the end of the day, it's the audience who are listening to you, and they're the ones judging you in a way. So if I give the audience the same thing every night, regardless how I feel or regardless of sound, you know, that's the win-win. That's the way it goes. Like, you know, there's big name guitarists out there, which I'll not name any names because I don't want to, you know, tarnish it. But you know, I know, you know, who are known to be really, really good improvisers. But I was very shocked to find out that everything they play is exactly the same every single night, like note per note. I know one drummer who had a nothing but the guitar sound in his monitor, nothing else, no vocals, nothing, because he knew every single lick, every single note, every night. From someone that was supposed to be an improviser. Well, they are good improvisers, but it is that same theory of, you know, they want to keep a standard level, you know, and that's it, you know, because they're nothing more. I've seen guys improvise and then go. Well, that's surely the nature, isn't it? If you're going to improvise something different every night, by the end of the tour, people go, "Did you see the Thursday? Because that was the one," you know. Like, but hopefully you didn't go on the Tuesday because that wasn't so good, you know. But I think there's a fine line between improvisation and you know, and rehearse and stuff. Or, you know, you can, some of the stuff I would have, like some of the songs I have are completely rehearsed, and some of the songs are just the middle section, just go somewhere, wherever, I don't really know. But if you can find that fine line between, you know, improvisation and rehearsal, if you have a rough idea what you're going to play, but you feel like you want to change something, you can do it, you know. Presumably easier in your own band to just, you know, give the drummer a nod and say, "We'd keep going," and then. Well, that's the thing, you know. For my band, I just keep it as a three-piece because you have that freedom, you know, with a bass player. I'm lucky enough, I have two great musicians, a guy called Dave Marks. Oh yeah. He's in everyone's band, isn't he, Dave? Yeah, I think he was playing with Robert Plant last week. It was like every interview I do, bass. Oh, Dave Marks. Okay, yeah. Like No, Dave's incredible, and it's funny because Dave's also from Belfast, but he's lived here obviously for most of his life, and we only met like 3 years ago.
Right.
We kind of knew of each other, but
Yeah.
so he plays for me all the time now, and the drummer, he's from Belfast too, but we just know each other, and they just know if I'm going to keep going.
Right.
They just keep going, which is kind of cool because they're always on edge watching me, but they know with my movements and stuff where I'm going to go, and so it's kind of that's the beauty of a 3-piece band. If you've a fourth member like a rhythm guitar or keyboards, it has to be more structured.
Yeah.
Because you can't just go off, or else it'd be a train wreck.
Yeah.
A keyboard would be playing, an A flat, and the bass player would be playing, something completely different. But
then it's jazz, and you're okay.
It is jazz, yeah.
So in terms of this sort of gear journey, going back to when you were 15 or whatever, and you obviously playing in a, what would you say that the name of the band was that you replaced Vivian Campbell?
Oh, Sweet Savage.
Sweet Savage. What was the, did you literally go from, I've played, at home and in some like literally pub, like, almost like school bands or whatever, and the next thing you're like,
yeah, it was.
And what was the, gear wise, what was that? You must have had to learn pretty fast about, how to get good tone at high volume, or?
Pretty much so. I was fortunate enough. My dad, bought me, good gear. I think at the time the whole, the Marshall JMP1 and the valve pumps. So I had that. That's what I used most of the time. But yeah, it was literally Sweet Savage was my first opportunity to play a full set with a band. I'd never really played. I'd like maybe get up and guest in, the local Dog and Duck, I don't know, pub somewhere, and but that was it. But it was kind of bizarre for me as a kid, but I think what helped as well, because I was also doing some PRS clinics when I was 16,
oh, really?
17, and I did some stuff for Marshall as well back then. So that was, for me, that was the most intimidating thing, doing that, because you're standing in a room and there's like maybe 40 people right here.
Yeah. All guitar players going, right, what you got?
Yeah, impress me.
Yeah.
So it was, that was very intimidating for me, but it was great, because now when I get on stage, I don't really care if there's 2 people, 60,000 people in front of me. I don't really mind, it's because having that, experience of playing in front of 50 people right in front of you, that really does help your confidence.
So have you been a PRS guy literally? What was the guitar that you said your dad had bought? Was that a PRS or something? And that's
no, that was my first guitar, which was my dad's, was an old Tokai Strat,
cool,
which I sold, and I really regret it because they're great guitars. I met Paul when I think it was in Wembley, one of the big trade shows, and I was doing some stuff with Marshall with Jeff Whitehorn.
Oh, dear old Jeff.
I know.
Tremendous player.
Yeah, incredible. So I met Paul there, and he decided to make me a guitar, and I've had it since I was 15, 16.
Stuff of dreams, isn't it? For every 15-year-old guitar player, Paul Reed Smith goes, I'll make you a guitar. It's like
I know. Actually, maybe it was before that. Yeah, it was before that, because I hadn't won the Guitarist of the Year. It was after. Yeah, so I had the PRS before I won the Guitarist of the Year. And Paul made me this beautiful, like a custom 24, like really highly figured maple top and stuff. It was incredible. I still have it. I don't really bring it out so much because it's, 20 years old or something. But the funny thing is, I remember I won the Guitarist of the Year, and I'm standing on stage with this beautiful custom 24 PRS, and the prize was, at the time, it was a company called JJ Huck.
Oh no, you mean the prize was a much worse guitar, you mean?
It was the most hideous thing I've ever seen in my life. It was like this, big pointy thing out here and here, and it's like a child had drawn a picture of the Grim Reaper on it, and they're presenting me with this thing, and I'm kind of looking at it going, I felt like saying, what's the prize for, if you get, come second to them, so, but yeah, no, I've been with
straight on eBay prize. It's like,
I think I took it apart and used, because it had really good parts, had a good, good tremolo and stuff on it, and I later used the tremolo for. I got a guitar made by a good friend of mine. He's no longer with us, Sid Poole. It's like a super strat, so I had a, I used the tremolo off that.
Jeff Whitehorn had a load of them, didn't he? The Sid Poole things.
Did. Yeah, we were all we all knew each other. It was, Sid was a lovely guy, great guitar builder, so I got him to make me one. But yeah, I've been with PRS since then, and they're, for me, they're a great company. For me, they really look after me, and nothing's ever a problem. If I want gear.
What's the sound? I mean, because it's an odd one, isn't it? It's quite rare that somebody finds finds the guitar that they are ultimately at one with, that early on. Most people have talk about, I had an Ibanez, and then I had a Gibson, and then I had a Yamaha, and then I have, and eventually you go, and this is what and sometimes the guitar you started on, you go on a whole big journey of other things, and then you just come back to like a nicer version of what you started on and go, so you've never cheated, as they say, or been unfaithful to Paul?
No, I've never been unfaithful, no. To be honest, when he first made me my guitar, my first one, the thing is with PRS, and I'm sure most people who play PRS, they have this playability about them where it's everything else to me just feels awkward, and there is some amazing guitars out there, which I've played and I've tried, but I just keep going back to the PRS. It feels like home to me. I think it's because I've used them for so many years. It's like this is what I play. Like I have 12 of them or something stupid like that. But and this is kind of one. They made this for me about 2 years ago. It's basically I just said this is what I want. This is they give them everything I wanted. So and they kind of made it for me. Because I always like the single cut shape. And also, this is kind of for two reasons. For I like the look of it, and plus it takes the weight out of the guitar a little bit. Yeah. So and it's a great guitar. I can't.
The closest thing that someone could get to this would be presumably just a 408 with no F hole, would it?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure whether they make a 408 as a single cut. I don't know. I could be wrong.
True.
I have one. A 408 at home, which is the exact same color as this, only it's the double cutaway. Paul made it for me 4 years ago and just handed it to me. I was like, thanks. So, but it's exact same color and stuff. But there was just a few things, I just wanted to change. I just wanted the neck slightly thinner on it, and then I like the 408 design because it means you can split the pickups and get that single cut or single coil. Type of sound, and then there's no tone pot on it, which kind of fascinates everybody. It's always the question, why is there no tone pot? I was like, well, I never really used one in 25 years, so I was like, why do I need it? And I think originally tone pots were invented for strats and stuff because they wanted to make the sound duller and fatter.
Yeah.
Whereas now we have humbuckers, we don't really need to do that anymore, or but I don't know. I just never used it, so I was just like, get rid of that, And apart from that, there's nothing really too different. I'm not one of these, gurus or complete nerds on guitar specs or things like that. Because I played PRS for so long and I've done lots of clinics and stuff, I've been used to picking up just random guitars and go play it, And it's like still when I do, like I was in Dallas last week or 2 weeks ago for the Dallas Guitar Show, and I didn't bring my guitar. I just said, Paul, he says, what do you want? I said, I don't care, just send me something, and so he just sent me down. It was actually his guitar, the Paul's guitar.
Right.
It's slightly fatter neck, slightly different sound, but you make it work. It's that whole, not that Paul's guitar is like a shoebox, slightly different caliber, but, you make it work and
Give us some time, because I noticed, we've set you up basically with an amp that's a little bit driven with a Wampler Tumnus on the floor here, but you're going through everything from really crystal clean to heavy overdriven. Are you using the volume a lot to do that, or are you just picking more softly, or what's your?
Basically, whatever the guitar is, the volume knob. I really have to have this feature where it cleans up. Because a lot of my playing from day one has always been around. If I back the volume off, it cleans up nicely. And I remember the first couple of years, I used to go through about 5 violin pots a year.
Right.
I don't know, I just kept wearing them out and you could break it. But, you know, so basically the typical, you know, the bridge pickup sound is... You back the volume off like... Right, so, and then, of course, you can split that, you know, to a single coil. You know, and then the beauty is, if you still want that kind of big fat neck pickup, you know. You got that, but you can also split that one. Go for the kind of Hendrix stuff, you know.
That does sound great. And just so you guys know, we didn't actually turn the tumnus on there. That was all just from using an amp with the, you know, bit of gain cranked into the preamp. So, and we're not that loud in here either, are we?
No, it's not that loud. It's good. I like quiet amps. But yeah, you know, so the beauty about it is you can then, if you want the full, you know, humbucker, you know, on your bridge. But if you want the single cut, you know, you can switch between them, which is kind of cool, you know. So I've always liked the design, you know, especially even the shape of the pickups. It's a little bit different. I was like, that's kind of cool.
They do look sweet. Don't they? They got that kind of a P90 kind of vibe about them, haven't they? Yeah. Actually, I've only really just noticed, of course, the front pickup's thinner, isn't it, than the back pickup?
Yeah, it is. It's a weird design, but I don't know. I'm not sure it was that popular for PRS, you know, because people like the opportunity to, you know, change pickups. You know, whereas these you can't really unless you go through PRS. But
I'm kind of sounds good. And are you a big tremolo user, or is your 12 guitars you got a mix of hardtail and trems? Or?
I like tremolo. It's kind of like it's that whole comfort zone. You know, sometimes like. I would never, you know, some people use it for vibrato.
You're not a Floyd Rose kind of.
I used to have a Floyd Rose, you know, just to give the whole dive bone stuff, Eddie stuff, but no, I think if somebody asked me to do that now, I would probably sound like dragging a cat down the road if I did it. But yeah, no, I love the tremolo. It's, you know, it's good for that kind of, you know. Just, it's an extra effect, you know.
Sounds great.
I just like having various, you know, toys and things to use to make, you know, the overall sound more colourful in a way. So
now we were talking earlier on as well. Let's talk about amps and pedals. We've not talked about pedals really at all as far as your setup is concerned. But so amps wise at the moment, you've gone to the dark side. I take it, haven't you?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. I've went to the dark side, as most people call it. Yeah, I use a. For some shows, I use a camper.
Yes.
I can see everybody now going,
unsubscribe. Yeah. No, and let's be honest with you, the world is split into people that completely think the Kemper is the best thing ever, and have an irrational fear of it. I don't think there's anybody that has rationally decided they don't like it. But tell us about, you know, what was your amp journey and why it was that you decided that you would.
Well, you know, I've went through various amps over the years. You know, a while back I had a deal with Hughes and Kettner, so I have a few of theirs, like the Triamp and stuff, and they're all great amps. Before that, I was using Crate. You know, the old Ampeg stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I have the.
Totally understand why you would go to a Kemper over one of those. But I can say that now because I think they've gone bust, so there's nobody to sue me.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, they did make one really good amp, which was the Blue Voodoo 300 one.
Right.
The only problem with it was 16 valves and 2 massive transformers, and I hate the thing because it pulled my back out,
Yeah.
and it's never been right since. So it lies in the corner. I go, bad memories, but you know, it's a great amp. So I used that, and then I went to using Kettner, and then for a long time, and I still use PRS amps. Paul's very kind to me, and he makes me very boutique, you know, style amps, like old, based around old Marshalls and stuff like that.
Was that always a vibe? You liked that kind of Marshall-y thang?
Yeah, it's kind of my kind of ideal tone is somewhere in between a Marshall and something more American. You know, somewhere in between. I've always liked that kind of sound. In my rig, I kind of use at the minute. I'm using one of the Archon heads and the Kemper.
Honestly, I'm fine. I am amp agnostic. Everything's fine by me. But I mean, tell us about. You mentioned before about some of the experiences you'd had on the road where you're hiring stuff in, and why the Kemper ultimately is the most attractive solution for you.
Well, yeah, it's easy. There's no hassle when you go to a fly date somewhere. If you're flying into a festival, you just bring your camper with you. You can put it in the overhead locker if you want, and on the plane, and just go to a festival, plug in. That's it. Your sound is there, you know. Whereas before, I've had experiences where, you know, you turn up to a festival, it's an old Marshall which hasn't been serviced in ever, and it just sounds horrendous. There's no life out of it, and it's dead, and that really makes it. Festivals are hard enough to do because you're literally flying in, and you very rarely get a sound check, so it's a line check. So you want everything to run as smoothly as possible, you know. And just ruling out that factor of me throwing a Davis strap on stage because of the amp's not right, you know, is better for everyone. So, and some gigs, you know, when you use in-ear monitors, you know, I can set the Kemper up in my studio and just. So when I go play stage, it's exactly the same as like being in the studio. So it's an incredible thing, you know. And some guys love it too because, you know, again, I sit in the studio, get everything EQ'd. And the thing about the Kemper is you can have two separate, you know, there's two separate outputs. So you can have one that goes out front, which can be different to one. You can use a cab with it, so you can have one EQ'd for your cab along, which is very cool. But it's just been amazing using it simply because it's made festivals more enjoyable to do. Really,
do you have a go-to, you know, amp patch that you use, or is it you don't even really know what that is? Just something that you like?
Well, generally I use I use the Michael Britt profiles because they're all incredible. You know, I can't even remember which one I use. I think it's a Marshall. I don't know.
I love it. I love it. Just like it's preset 739. I don't know what it is. I just like it. It's that, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like that'll do. You know, I have like nearly all the Michael Britt profiles. You know, whether it's Dumbles, Fenders, and stuff. You know, I have the Kemper set up for some of my songs. We go from like, you know, obviously clean with like maybe a lot of reverb delays to straight to an overdriven sound. So I'd use like an old Fender Deluxe or something. I don't know what, you know. It's clean, and it sounds great. But yeah, I really like it. You know, people I work with sometimes don't like it.
What was the story?
I have to hide it in some gigs. You know, I'll not mention who the names are, but I have to hide it in, you know, certain gigs that I do because, you know, I guess people have the same attitude when I first got it was you know, when you look at it, you just go, oh, just don't look at it. Just play, just listen, just don't look at it because it puts you off. It puts you in that world.
I'm saying it. I think it's an ugly looking thing, you know, but only in the sense of, you know, if a JTM 45 is a beautiful looking thing, and the Kemper is an ugly looking thing. But in all fairness, so is everything by Axe Effects and Helix and everything. They are all to me the sort of the antithesis of what kind of like. But then I'm the same with guitars. I don't like headless guitars and guitars that don't conform to a certain shape. You know, so I suppose it's just me, isn't it? I like things to look old, and that's all I like. So, but I've got to get over that. But I think Kemper should make a JTM 40, like, so on the front, it just looks like a JTM 45 and all the knobs are on the back, and then it would just be awesome.
Yeah, I think that would solve all their problems.
It would, wouldn't it? All finished.
Yeah.
But, and then when you're in the studio, where of course you have got the option to spend a bit more time miking stuff up, doing whatever. Do you revert back to ye olde fashioned technology, or are you just like, have you utterly just become Darth Vader and there's no hope for you?
No, there was always hope. You know, pretty much. Well, my new record, which is out, it's I used old heads. Well, not old heads. They're PRS heads based on old. You know, they work. But the problem is the older style heads. They only work at one volume, and that is 10. Or if it's Spinal Tap, it's 11 or Infinity. You know, but which, you know, in the studio you could spend maybe 4 or 5 hours messing around with mics, you know, different positions, different rooms. Whereas you can plug in the camper, done. There you go. But from my last album, from a new album, sorry, I used the PRS heads, but I just run it through a sewer reactive load.
Yep.
Into like impulse responses through, I think it was 2 notes and stuff like that. So,
well, get yourself an aux. Honestly,
yeah.
It's like either, I know. Funny enough, if Paul is good buddies with the guy that designed that, so maybe Paul can get you one or whatever. We'll do your special friends and family price on one. But that's, I think, you know, that's your sewer reactive load plus the 2 notes thing all in one box, plus done with that usual sprinkle of UAD magic that they seem to sprinkle on everything they do. It's very, very cool. But it will give you, it will give all your old valve amplifiers maybe another lease of life in the studio.
Yeah, because I love using them, and you know, it's great. But I find these days I have very limited time to do anything, so literally wasting 3 hours making up a cabinet is like, oh, stuff this. Just
could have done 3 tracks by then.
That's the truth, you know. Well, the thing is, you know, people don't have the money these days to spend on big studios and to go in for like weeks and weeks and weeks. You know, you're literally in the studio, 10 minutes, get a sound, go.
Yeah,
it's like you know.
Well, let's do the pedal thing. Are you? I mean, certainly when you came in here, you didn't have a long list of like, you know, pedals that you wanted to use. It was just like, and in fairness, I don't think you've even switched the tumners on.
I think I did at the start. Yeah, I think.
But we've got a basic sort of driven amp tone and a delay pedal through the loop and a couple of clonish sounding pedals, of which I think you've. Yeah. Did you have a preference between the two, or are they both pretty similar?
Both pretty similar, to be honest. You know, pedal wise, I think I have. Sincerely owned every pedal under the sun at one point in my life. Well, you know, as most guitarists, musicians are all pedal geeks. You know, I buy them just to try them, and it's like, I don't like that. No, get rid of it. But you know, sometimes I keep them. I'm lucky enough. I have a few endorsements with the company, various companies. What am I using at the minute? I have a small pedal board with me at the minute. I use. The company Jam pedals. Yeah. So they send me out a few pedals.
And you're going from the pedal board into the Kemper, or is when you're using the Kemper, do you just pre-profile your patches to be how you want them to sound?
I use some of the effects in the Kemper and some, you know, the effects, you know, like the Jam pedals, because likes of Univibes and you know stuff like that. The Kemper doesn't really do a good job of.
But you're happy just using conventional pedals in with the Kemper.
Plug straight in. Yeah. And it works. I use like a Tube Screamer type pedal as well, straight into it as well. The thing is with the Kemper, it reacts pretty well to you know, Tube Screamers, which in theory shouldn't because it's digital, you know, whereas the Tube Screamer's designed to, you know, really, you know, work with the valves in the amp. But yeah, so I use the Jam stuff. I have a Univibe, a chorus pedal, and it's basically like a Tube Screamer. They just sent me it recently, and it's incredible. It's like two Tube Screamers. It's a mouthful. So that's cool. What else did I use? I have a deal with a company called Sinvertech, CKK.
Yeah.
Sinvertech are like this Chinese company, but they make really, really good pedals. You know, I know that they have the CKK range, which is a little bit cheaper, but again, for the price range, they're incredible. They're as good as anything out there.
Yeah.
But they sent me over whatchamacallit, a number 5. It's called. It's an overdrive, which I use 90% of the time. On this tour, I'm not using the Kemper. I'm just using the PRS Archon because it's only just a short run.
The trio tour, yeah.
So it's just a short run of dates, and I said I'll just get my gear from, you know, PRS, which lives over here. So I just use the Sinvertech. It's a great it's very tweakable. You can.
It's just little board then, is it? Like
it's about this size, you know. It's never a little board with me. What else do you use?
Big wah-wah man, or not really?
I have a wah-wah. I don't really use it that often, you know. I have this theory. Once I see a guitar player using a wah-wah for a solo, I was like, he can't play. He's just wah-wah just covers up all mistakes, you know.
Get me one now.
But you know, I guess it comes from I used to gig with a friend of mine back home, a guy called Kieran Gribben. He, funny enough, was the singer in NXS for the last while.
Right.
But I used to do gigs with him, and he always used to turn around to me, and he used to play guitar. He used to put a wah-wah, and he goes, "Yeah, look at me, I'm incredible," because it just covers up everything, and he'd be playing the most horrendous stuff, but the wah-wah just made it sound really cool.
Comment section below, which guitar player is guiltiest?
I'm gonna get
I know who it is. I absolutely know who it is. Everyone in the room knows who it is. Which guitar player is guilty of masking terrible guitar playing with too much wah-wah? I can't think.
I'm gonna get crucified for saying that, but you know. So you know, I do have a wah-wah. I love using it. I use it more for textural stuff than anything. You know. Even some chords and stuff, and the odd time I would use something on a solo, you know. It just depends on the song, you know. But
it's just as well Jimi Hendrix isn't alive. Otherwise, to be honest with you, I think he'd be knocking your door down, going, "Excuse me, that was quite good," and I used a lot of wah-wah.
Well, in fairness, Jimmy did use it musically. You know, you can use certain pedals in a way. You know, you can just. Some people just get it and just rock it like mad, and that's it. Whereas he used it very musically. He used the low tone, the high tone to work with it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything bad about Jimi Hendrix ever.
Let's move on. Well, look, I mean, that's a really cool, interesting, you know, sort of talk. And again, more and more now as I meet people, it's, you know, the Kemper becomes the solution, and people don't seem to have a problem using pedals with it. And as you say, they enjoy the dual output things. The sound man worries about what sound the audience is hearing, and you're worried about what sound you're hearing. I completely get all that. It's all good. It's all good. When every single valve amp company in the world has gone bust because of Kemper, we'll perhaps have to redress whether or not it was all such a good thing. But then, hey, that's essentially what, you know, the iPhone's done to the recording industry, isn't it? Absolutely every company that was involved with that's gone bust because it's now all 50p on an app. But anyway, hope you feel good about yourselves. So anyway, well, look, shall we, unless there's anything else that you want to talk about. Obviously, you mentioned you're touring at the moment.
Yeah.
How long's the tour on? I'm just wondering whether we'll get this video out in time to plug in.
It's very short. It finishes on Saturday. So.
Oh, well, we won't. It's finished then. So if you didn't get to see Simon, where can people come and find out about you, or perhaps see you again in the future?
Well, if you just go to my website, which is just simonmcbride.net. Everything's up there. I'm on Instagram. Don't ask me what the address is. I have a YouTube channel. It's Simon S. I don't know what it is.
It is something.
It's something. It's all on my website, so I just click one button and it's done. You know. But yeah, just go to there. You know, things happen. Basically, I do a few festivals now in the summer. As I said, Don Airey's album's coming out in the 25th of May, which I co-wrote with him as well.
Cool.
So it'll be cool, and then I think there's a live DVD coming out with Ian Gillan, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but because we did a gig in the Kremlin of all places,
wow,
which was televised, which was a mad experience. But I'll tell you about it.
Is he President Putin's favourite rock band ever? Then do you think is that?
Well, Deep Purple is.
It was
the Prime Minister. Is it Medvedev?
Actually, is his favourite band.
Yeah.
Wow. I just thought I was trying to keep a straight face but that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think
so. What kind of perks do you get then when you're the president of Russia's favourite band or the prime minister? Do you get like, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars siphoned off from oil fields or something into your account? Or
I have no clue. I don't know.
Maybe Ian Gillan did. That's like,
I'm saying that's I don't know anything. I'm nothing to do with me.
Awesome. It's there you go. If you want to be anybody's favourite rock band in the world, then I can imagine that. Imagine if you were like Kim Jong-un's and Vladimir Putin's favourite ever rock band. The opportunities that would come out of that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be interesting. You know.
What Donald Trump's into? I suppose that bit. I don't know.
I'll send him a CD.
Yeah, you should do. All of a sudden, every other artist in the world has an enormous import tax applied to their music, except you. You'll be the only band that anyone can afford to listen to in America.
No visas for me anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, so well, look, so there we go. Look, it's an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for coming over and shooting the breeze for a bit. I think you should play something on the exit. Okay. So I will play something else in a different key, and I'll try and make it a bit more rocky for you, as obviously,
fine.
you know.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
What key first?
I don't know. In fact, let's have a small intermission while I just discuss with Simon exactly what chords I should play. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the Andertons Guitar YouTube channel. If you're a drummer or a keyboard player or interested in music technology, you might find one of our other channels interesting, and I'll put details of those in the description below. If you want to find out more about the products we've just featured, please click here. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt like this, please click here. If you want to watch another video on our guitar channel, click down here. And to subscribe to our guitar channel, click here. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.